Hey Truth Seekers, it's Nathaniel here doing another deck profile video. Today I'm going to be covering Silas, Faith, and Holy Spirit. So I chose to have, Silas's ability to start off with says, once per turn you may return one Faith Power card from your discard pile to your hand. So one of my goals was I was trying to maximize as much value as I could out of Silas. I did do a video where I broke down how I build a deck using this deck. So it might seem familiar. So my reasoning in that video was Silas is a Truth Seeker I don't really get to use very often. He has a useful ability to reclaim your power cards after you discard them, since Faith Animo like discarding your power cards. However, I have found that Silas isn't as valuable as other Truth Seekers like May or Ezra even. But so I figured I'd build a deck that would focus on maximizing his ability. So I chose to run a total of 6 Faith Power, 2 Holy Spirit, and 1 Fasting. The Fasting is there for like Hybrid Ultra, so that way I can just pay these 2 and get that cost covered. And there is like a power play in this deck that uses Stagnetic and Hybrid Ultra and a Strider. So one of my goals is to have 2 of these in play, and then have 3 of these in play while having 3 more of the Faith Power cards in my discard pile. So that's the goal. So we're going to go ahead and move Silas up here, move the power cards out of the way, and get into equipment cards. So we have 2 Paul's Chains and 1 Scarlet Cord. Scarlet Cord is so that way I can return Armorino to my hand, so that way I can replay him, get a Faith Power card, grab a card from my discard pile, and just reuse them. But it also allows me to search or free up my small group. I have 2 Paul's Chains, so that way once per turn, as long as this card's attached to my small group, I can search my deck for up to 2 level 1 Animo and place them in my small group. Or I can go ahead and use it to discard the Animo. Moving on to story cards, got Pause, Maws, and Giant Killer. Giant Killer, so I can go grab a Mega Cine and reveal it to my opponent, or I can get rid of a Mega Cine, which is usually what I use it for. And Pause, Maws, so that way it can be used to stop my opponent from playing a Cine on me the turn before I try to go in for a win. Then I have 2 Battlestar of the Holy Spirit, which searches the deck for any 1 Holy Spirit Animo. And then I have 1 Shake and Break and 1 of the Runaway. The Runaway lets me get any 1 Animo from my discard pile, and Shake and Break lets me get up to 2 level 1 Animo, excluding Ultra. So I have 1 of each of these because in certain circumstances I want to be able to grab back an Ultra, or I just want to be able to grab back my Stagnetics. Moving on to Cines, I have Hookworm. It said so this way, as long as he's active, my opponent's Animo will require 1 more Universal, and sometimes that can really mess up a person's turn. So can Zapper King. Zapper King says your opponent may not play any level 1 Animo from their hand into their small group. Venommouth, that prevents my opponent from activating Animo that was added to or grown in their small group. Venommouth Mega. He has an action that says your opponent may not activate any level 1 Animo on their next turn. Lurkai Mega, which says select an Animo in your opponent's small group and flip it over. As long as this Cine is active, that Animo may not be interacted with in any way. And then Fear Crow Mega Plus, because Fear Crow Mega Plus has the action that says your opponent can't play any cards from their hand on their next turn. So I chose what I consider to be some of the best Cines. So I like the Mega Cines that have abilities, and then or actions, and then I also chose some of the most disruptive Cines that I've seen. Next up, got Servidude. Servidude's there just sit in my small group and draw me cards for my Faith and Holy Spirit Animo. And then I got 1 Flow Ultra, so that way I can use its swap ability, so that way I can search my deck for any 3 Animo and add them to my hand. And to help me out with searching, I have Gut Piece, level 1 from Cross Trainers. That says when I play it from my hand to my small group, I can search my deck for any Faith or Hope Animo. And then I am running his level 2, so that way it helps me draw power, because his ability says when he's played from my hand to Gut Piece level 1, you can reshuffle your hand into your deck and draw 6 cards. I also like to use Scarlet Cord to equip the Gut Piece so I can play him again, or get rid of him. But I can actually activate him in this deck, so that's helpful. I have 2 Strider. Strider also has swap, so I can't use Flow and Strider in the same turn. And his swap ability says if I have a full small group, then I can go ahead and use his swap ability to play a different level 1 from my hand into play, and then if I do, I get to draw 2 cards. And I really like his Strider level 2 because he looks really cool. He has the action that says you search your deck for any level 1 Faith, Hope, or Love Animo, excluding Ultra, and place it into your small group. So I can usually use him to go grab my Stagnetics. Next up, I got the Hybrid line. Hybrid level 1 grows into Hybrid level 2, and Hybrid level 2 has the ability that says when he's played from my hand to grow Hybrid level 1, I can search my deck for a standard power. This is one of the ways I get my power cards. Also, Hybrid level 3 action says search your deck for up to 2 virtuous Animo that are either level 2 or level 3. This is very helpful because I do have a lot of level 2s and level 3s in this deck. And then, to top that off, I have Hybrid Ultra, who has a Fellowship bonus of 13 with Faith. And since this is a Faith deck, this really helps out. Next up, I got True Blue. True Blue also has a swap ability, but his swap says I can swap him with any level 1 Virtuous Animo from my discard pile, excluding Ultra Animo. So I usually use him to grab back my Stagnetic, or whatever level 1 I need at the time. But I can't use his effect in the same turn I use Strider level 1 or Flow Ultra, because it is a swap ability. Next, I got 2 Hoofits, so that way I can continuously recycle my deck, because he lets me shuffle back any 3 cards from my discard pile, excluding that card. This Stagnetic, he's one of the ways that I get value out of Silas' effect, because when I have a Faith Power card that I need to play that turn in hand, I can use this effect to discard that power card, so that way I can draw 1 card, and I can discard up to 3 cards and draw 3 cards from this ability. It's really powerful, it's very helpful. And then I can use Silas' effect to go grab back the power card that I discarded. I also use Silas to grab back my Armorino's cost, or my Trusty's cost. And then I got the Stagnetic from Cross Trainers. He has the ability keyword, which is Preserve Faith. Which his ability works as if there's at least 3 Faith Power cards in my discard pile, he has no activation cost. So this way, in the turn that I activate Hybrid, I activate Strider, and I activate Armorino. If I get my 3rd Faith Power card, I can use Strider to go grab him, and then I will activate him alongside those guys, because then that's going to be 28, 36, 46 points in a single turn. So that's very helpful. Meanwhile, I have Trusty. I chose this Trusty because he has a shorter Bible verse on him, but also because he costs a universal cost instead of 2 Faith. There's also a foil version of this card that I have from the Bible verse challenge that I would like to use one day. But having that Faith and universal means I can also pay Holy Spirit for him to activate them in case I need to. And then I have 2 of the Fearless Trusty level 2 that has the ability, says you may choose to discard this card from your small group, including its previous growth stage, and any cards attached to it. If you do, draw 4 cards. So he ends up becoming a 2 for 12, which is really good value for level 2. But I mostly use him just to draw the 4 cards. Now getting into Armorino, got 2 Armory level 1, says when this card's played from my hand in my small group, I can search my deck for 1 Faith Power card and add it to my hand. Then I have 2 Armorino level 2. Says when this card is played from your hand to grow Armorino level 1, you may search your discard pile for 1 card and place it in your hand. This is a great combo to use Scarlet Cord with, so that way you are going to get 2 Faith Power cards, and then you are going to also be able to add 2 cards from your discard pile to your hand. One of which could be Scarlet Cord, but there's like an infinite combo there that you can do to get all the power cards out of your deck. I try not to do that because that's goes kind of against the spirit of the game, and so we're trying to play games where we choose not to abuse Scarlet Cord more than once per turn. Next up is the Cross Trainers Armorino. He has the ability that says as long as this card remains in play, your opponent's Cindy's actions and abilities have no effect. So I like to get Armorino out there as soon as possible, so that way I can sit on him and prevent them from like messing me up with their Cindy's. But he's also like one of my win conditions. He's a 3 for 15, which is really good value because of that fellowship bonus. And then to top it all off with, My last Ultra for the deck is Hoofed Ultra. Hoofed Ultra says ability, this card's in your hand. You may choose to discard it. If you do, search for 2 Faith powers and add them to your power pool. And so I use him to help accelerate my power cards, and sometimes I'll activate him to get my Faith into my discard pile. And if I never have a power card, but I have Faith in my discard pile, and I need to play a power, I can always use Silas' ability to get me one. So anyways, that's the entire Silas Faith and Holy Spirit deck. So in the meantime, Truth Seekers, keep learning virtues and defeating sins.